Welcome to a story that will completely transform the way you see courage, love, and survival. This is the Nightingale. Today, you will walk in the footsteps of two sisters, Vianne and Isabelle, in occupied France during the Second World War. Imagine yourself in their world, feeling fear, hope, and the weight of choices that could cost everything. France, 1939. The town of Carriveau wakes under a pale golden sun. The streets are quiet, lined with cobblestones glinting from last night's rain. Birds chirp in the morning, and the scent of fresh bread wafts from the bakery on the corner. At first glance, life seems serene, almost frozen in time. But tension lingers like a shadow. Whispers of approaching war, the distant rumble of artillery, the unease of neighbors who glance over their shoulders. Vianne Mauriac walks through her garden, her fingers brushing the petals of roses blooming in neat rows. She holds the small hand of her daughter, Sophie. The child's laughter is soft, almost too light for the heaviness in the air. Antoine, Vianne's husband, is away at war. Each day she tells herself to stay calm, to preserve the ordinary life they've built. Yet even as she smiles at Sophie, fear tightens her chest. What will happen if soldiers come? How do I protect her? Across town, Isabelle, barely 18, bursts from her house with the energy of a storm. She refuses to stay hidden. Where Vianne seeks safety, Isabelle seeks action. Her eyes glint with determination, her steps quick and purposeful. I cannot sit still. I will not wait for life to be taken from me, she tells herself. She moves through alleys, slipping past patrolling soldiers, delivering secret messages, and quietly guiding frightened villagers. You feel the rush of adrenaline as she hides, whispers, and navigates the dangerous streets. Each footstep is a gamble. Each glance could be her last free one. The town's peace shatters as German forces arrive. Soldiers march with precision, their boots striking cobblestones like thunder. Families shutter windows, curfews are enforced, and food supplies dwindle. Vianne teaches Sophie to hide her laughter, to walk softly, to disappear into corners. Every knock at the door, every unexpected visitor, could be a harbinger of danger. You can almost hear her heartbeat echoing in the quiet house. Meanwhile, Isabelle moves with purpose through forests and abandoned buildings. She whispers instructions to children, hides families in barns, and slips messages to contacts in the underground resistance. Each mission carries the weight of life or death. You can feel the tension in the cool night air, the brush of leaves against her face, the silent prayers as she guides terrified refugees. One rainy evening, Isabelle reaches Vianne's door, drenched, trembling, eyes wide with urgency. We must act tonight, she whispers. Together, the sisters navigate the moral dilemmas of war. Who can be trusted, who must be hidden, and when hesitation could mean death. They hide children in attics, smuggle families across rivers, and send coded messages. Vianne discovers that courage wears many faces, quiet, protective, and filled with fear. Night falls over Carriveau. The town is silent except for the occasional footstep of a soldier patrolling the streets. You feel the chill in the air as Isabelle prepares for her next mission. She wraps herself in a dark coat, tucks a small satchel under her arm, and whispers a silent prayer. The task tonight: guide a group of frightened children and their mothers across the forest to a safe house near the river. One wrong move could mean capture or worse. You follow her as she slips through narrow alleys, ducking behind walls and listening intently for the sound of boots. Each step is measured, every sound amplified in the quiet night. The group waits anxiously, whispering in fear. Isabelle takes a deep breath, reassuring them with calm confidence. Follow me, stay close, and trust me. We will make it. Meanwhile, Vianne faces her own trials at home. Soldiers have been stationed nearby, and she must maintain the facade of normal life. She bakes bread, tends the garden, and smiles when necessary, all while hiding food for those who cannot fend for themselves. Every visitor could be a threat, every glance a test of her composure. You can feel the tension as she listens at the door, heart pounding, praying that her courage and patience are enough to protect Sophie and their neighbors. Back in the forest, Isabelle leads the group carefully. Children cling to her hands, mothers whisper prayers, and every rustle of leaves makes hearts jump. At one point, a German patrol passes too close. Isabelle freezes, instructing everyone to lie flat in the underbrush. You can almost hear the pounding of her heart, the shallow breaths of those hiding with her, the near silence broken only by the rustling leaves. The danger passes, and she exhales quietly, continuing their journey. Hours later, the group reaches the safe house. Relief washes over them, but exhaustion takes hold. Isabelle's eyes reflect both pride and fatigue. You feel the weight of responsibility she carries. Each life she saves is a victory, yet every mission could be her last. Vianne, alone in her home, faces moral dilemmas of a different kind. A neighbor begs for help, but sheltering them could bring the soldiers' wrath. She debates silently, balancing fear, morality, and survival. I cannot let them suffer, but I must protect Sophie. There has to be a way, she thinks. Her courage is quiet, methodical, and equally heroic. Days turn into weeks. Isabelle's missions grow more dangerous. You follow her as she navigates forests, swamps, and checkpoints, always looking for signs of safety, always anticipating danger. Children cry, mothers whisper, and the night air is thick with fear. Yet her determination never wavers. She teaches herself to read the terrain, predict patrol movements, and trust instincts over fear. Each life saved reinforces her purpose. Vianne continues her work at home, rationing food, protecting children, lying to soldiers, and keeping up appearances. She experiences moments of heartbreak as news comes of captured friends. Still, she finds strength in small victories. A hidden loaf of bread, a whispered word of thanks, Sophie's laughter. You sense that courage comes in many forms, both bold and subtle, outward and inward. Conflict escalates when Isabelle's mission almost fails. She is trapped near a checkpoint, forced to hide in a swamp until dawn. You can feel the tension, the cold water, the biting insects, the fear of discovery. She whispers encouragement to the children with her, keeping their hope alive. Dawn finally breaks, and they reach safety, weary but alive. Letters travel between the sisters sporadically. Each note carries hope, warning, and love. Vianne reads Isabelle's accounts of heroism and danger, learning that bravery is not a single act, but a series of choices made under pressure. You begin to see the moral of the story. Courage is multifaceted, patience is power, and hope can persist even in darkness. War drags on. Each day is a test of courage, endurance, and hope. Villages are scorched, neighbors vanish, and whispers of arrests and executions hang in the air. You walk alongside Isabelle as she navigates forests and abandoned roads, guiding children and families towards safety. Her hands are raw from gripping ropes, her legs aching from long nights of running and hiding. Every glance over her shoulder carries tension. You feel her fear, her determination, and the weight of every life she carries with her. Vianne, in her home, continues to protect Sophie and neighbors. She negotiates with soldiers, hides supplies, and preserves humanity in a world that is increasingly cruel. Each night, she listens for footsteps, each day calculating risks and making impossible choices. Her courage is quiet but immense. It is the courage of endurance, of protecting loved ones against overwhelming odds. A critical turning point arrives when news of the advancing Allies spreads through Caraveau. The town is filled with cautious hope. Isabelle's missions become even more urgent as the Nazis retreat, but leave traps and dangers behind. She leads her group through forests where mines and checkpoints still threaten, teaching the children to move silently and trust instinct. Every step is a lesson in courage, patience, and strategy. Finally, liberation arrives. Soldiers from the Allied forces march into town. The streets are lined with both relief and devastation, burned houses, destroyed livelihoods, and the sorrow of lives lost. Vianne and Isabelle emerge from their respective struggles, exhausted but alive. You can almost feel the tears, the trembling relief, and the embrace that binds them together. The sisters reunite. Vianne sees the full extent of Isabelle's bravery, and Isabelle witnesses the quiet heroism of Vianne's endurance. They share stories of survival, moments of fear, and triumphs small and large. The town, scarred yet resilient, begins the slow process of healing. You, as the listener, are asked to step into their shoes. Imagine the fear of every night, the exhilaration of each life saved, the weight of choices that could mean life or death. What would you do if you were in their position? How would courage show itself in your life? And now, take a slow breath. Because from this moment on, this is no longer just a story about war. It's a story about you. We've walked through fear. We've witnessed sacrifice. We've seen love tested in the darkest of times. But stories are not told just to entertain us. They are told to awaken us. This is the turning point. This is where fiction becomes reflection, where characters become teachers, where pain becomes wisdom. Welcome to the life reflection and practical lessons. Everything you just heard, every risk taken, every silent act of bravery, every moment of doubt, carries a message for your own life. Because courage is not locked in history. It lives in your daily choices, in your quiet endurance, in the risks you are afraid to take, in the love you choose to protect. So now, don't just listen. Reflect. Ask yourself, where am I being called to be brave? Where am I staying silent out of fear? What small action today could change someone's life, or mine? This is the moment the story becomes personal. This is where growth begins. Let's uncover the lessons hidden beneath the pages. Courage is multidimensional. Vianne's quiet endurance and Isabelle's daring missions show that bravery comes in many forms. Small actions can save lives. A hidden child, a whispered warning, or a secret path can have immense consequences. Hope persists even in darkness. Even when surrounded by fear, hope guides choices and empowers action. Love gives strength. Protecting loved ones and helping strangers provides purpose and resilience. Fear is normal, but action defines heroism. True courage is not absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. So think about your own life. What fears hold you back? What small acts of courage can you take today? Bravery isn't always loud. Sometimes it's sending a message, helping a friend, or standing for someone in need. If this story inspired you, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Join us for more stories that challenge, inspire, and empower you. Your life, your courage, and your actions, they matter more than you think.